Hi guys, I'm back again today with another reaction video, and today we're reacting to the Quran says you don't have to wear hijab. So this is going to be an interesting topic. There's a lot of misconceptions, so it's really good to watch a video that I think we can trust, okay? To explain to us what this is all about. So anyways, before we do start, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button to get notified whenever I do upload a video. Anyways guys, let's check this out. I'm gonna be talking, so if you don't like that, watch the original video. Just saying.
The verses of hijab were revealed Dhul Qa'dah of the 4th year of the Hijrah. Right, and I mentioned when I teach the class about the fiqh of clothing and the fiqh of food, I mentioned that the verses of hijab were of the last commandments to be revealed after salah, after zakah, after inheritance, after fasting Ramadan, after zakatul fitr, right, after marriage and divorce, which is in Baqarah. The verses of hijab were of the very last commandments to be revealed in terms of the personal dietary laws and whatnot, right? No doubt hijab is important, but I point out that I think many of us have made hijab even more important than the salah. It's like
Salah
we immediately
prayer, right?
decide instantaneously based on the hijab, and no doubt hijab is important, but put it in its place. It was revealed at the end of the 4th year, not at the beginning of the 1st year like the salah or something, okay? Actually the salah was pre-hijrah, excuse me. The zakah was the beginning of the 1st year and all that. And nonetheless, so now, the hijab of the Prophet ﷺ's wives was extra. The hijab of the Prophet ﷺ's wives was extra. And the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they had to be covered not just in their personal body, but their space as well had to be covered.
Oh wow,
And this
I
was
didn't know
only
that.
for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is explicit in the Quran. Explicit in the Quran. The Quran says, وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُنَّ مَتَاعًا فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ. If you ask the wives of the Prophet ﷺ for anything, if you talk to them, speak to them from behind a hijab. And this is what Aisha is saying, that this incident of Muraisi' took place after the verses of hijab. The term hijab in the Quran, I'm going into a tangent here, but it's something we should know. It's very important.
Okay.
The term hijab in the Quran does not mean headscarf. In our vernacular, it means a headscarf.
Okay.
We say, does she wear hijab? I started wearing the hijab, means the headscarf. This is modern Arabic, which is fine, not a problem.
Okay.
Quranic Arabic, the hijab meant a physical curtain that separates the entire body.
Oh wow.
Not just on your body. It's a curtain between you and the speaker. This is the Quranic usage of hijab.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to pause, but it's a reaction. Okay, so I can pause and I can talk. Well, that is a very huge misconception, because a lot of people will call their headscarf hijab. So what this video is mostly trying to explain is how to use the word. It's not basically telling us or telling Muslims to not wear the headscarf. It's saying the word hijab is misused, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should not wear a hijab. Okay, 2 minutes in and I already got the point, so that's great.
And this usage of hijab, according to the Quran, only the wives of the Prophet ﷺ have to have to enforce that type of hijab. As for the headscarf, the Quran references this with the term khimar. With the term khimar.
Khimar. I can't. I'm sorry.
يَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ.
Oh, we have
Hey
commercial.
guys, I am so proud and excited to share to you my new go-to drink for everyday hydration.
Gatorade. I'm sorry.
Let them wear their khimar, khumur, plural of khimar, over their juyub, which is their bosoms.
Oh,
Their
interesting.
scarves should cover their chests as well. Because the women of Jahiliyyah, by the way, they would wear headscarves, by the way. The women of Jahiliyyah would wear a headscarf.
Okay.
Every respectable, dignified lady would cover her hair, just like in America 100 years ago. Impossible for a dignified lady. Only the peasants and the rural people without money, without education, they would be without. And the same in Arabia.
Well,
Every single
I am a
lady
peasant
of respect
now,
and of middle class would wear a headscarf.
I mean,
But
not in this video, but
just like in
live.
America as well, the headscarf would be thrown back and the dresses get lower and lower. You get the point, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no. When you wear the headscarf, cover the bosom. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Right?
I learned something,
So
you know.
anyway, the point here, Aisha says the verses of hijab had been revealed. And by this we mean an extra layer above and beyond the khimar, above and beyond the jilbab, which is another Quranic term, right? يا أيها النبي يا قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. That's another verse. So the khimar and jilbab is mentioned for all women. The mothers of the believers, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, the daughters of the Prophet ﷺ, and all of the women. Khimar and jilbab. And this is what our sisters wear. For the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, there's only the hijab. Now, a reason I say this, by the way, and it's very important, I know it's not directly related. These days you will hear some modernists or progressives say, the hijab was only for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is a technically true statement that is intended for something false. This is a technically true statement. كَلِمَةُ حَقٍّ أُرِيدَ بِهَا بَاطِلٍ. It's a true statement, but something evil is intended through it. It is true. The Quranic hijab is only for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. But what is the Quranic hijab? It is this extra layer of curtain.
Okay.
Right? Whereas what these people try to say is that the hijab, meaning how we understand it, which is the khimar and jilbab, is only for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is wallahi foolishness that shows a complete ignorance of the Quran. It's so explicit. يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين. Tell your wives and your daughters and the believing women يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. They should all cover themselves with a jilbab. This is in the Quran. The word jilbab and the word khimar as well. That all believing women, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى all believing women, including the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. And Aisha will wear a khimar, and she will wear a jilbab, but she would also have a hijab.
Oh wow, that's...
This lady emails, it's a really long email, about how
so
she's
voice.
read that the Quran never talks about
Excuse me?
covering the head. But she says, I read the ayah, and I read, what it says in Surah number 24, Surah An-Nur has the ayah, right? And it uses the word khimar, which is for veil. And I looked up the dictionary, and it says things like a shawl or cover, so it never ever says anything about covering the head, right? And I start thinking, is this a common confusion, or is this just this one-time email? So I do a little digging, and it's actually extremely common. Like a lot of people think that the ayah is not talking about covering the head at all. I feel like a lot of people get confused. Right? So it's a really common confusion.
A lot of people, I'm sorry to pause, but a lot of people, when we try to dissect holy scriptures, it just gets lost in translation most of the parts, okay? That's the reason why I feel like I don't, for example, if somebody, there are people, I'm gonna say preachers, that describe or translate or tell you a scripture or verse in a book, and the way that they translate it, I'm like, really? Because I understand it a different way. I understand it in this way. So, really? So I choose the people that I listen to. Like, if you translate it in a very, what am I saying? So I feel like it's based on translations. It's just lost in translation. Most of the things that came from the scriptures or the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, it's like some of them are lost in translations. But let's see.
I didn't know. So, one of the things I really want to do is kind of address this in a sane way. Like, I'm not interested in getting somebody to wear hijab. That's their decision, right? But at the end of the day, if something's being said about the Quran, we have to be honest. And what is it saying? And there are people who would like it to mean something it doesn't mean, and then there are people who are genuinely, they just don't know any better and they're confused about the subject. So the cool thing about Arabic, right, is that for covering the head, just covering the head, there's like 9 different words.
That's a lot.
And one of them is khimar, right? So you have, miqna'a and mighfar, and there's all these bunch of words. And it depends on if it covers the head and if it's up to here, if it's up to here, if it's up to here. Depending on the length, each has its own kind of meaning. And in Old Arabic, the word khimar, which is used in the Quran, now, you and I know commonly we use the word hijab. Hijab is actually not a word for head cover. It's actually a word for barrier. Like a wall could be a hijab. A curtain could be a hijab.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it just kind of got coined as hijab, but that's not the word in the Quran, nor the Arabs ever used it like that. Okay, so the word is khimar. And the cool thing about it is the word itself includes the meaning of covering the head. Like the head and then some. And it's used before Islam. The men used to have khimar too. One of the names for their turban, if it was extra long and it went down to like almost middle of the belly, the men used to call it khimar too. And then it's so cool. The women had like different fashions or whatever. And one of the things the women before Islam used to do is they used to have this bandana type thing that they would tie in the back with their ponytails, and it would go to the middle of their back.
That sounds really nice.
So they wouldn't drip it in
actually.
front, they throw it behind them. That was also called a khimar. Now the Quran says they should take their khimar and throw it in front of them, before their chest. In other words, the only difference is keep the khimar, but just use it. The head cover is already included in the meaning. Just use it to cover the front also.
Front. Okay.
Right, and it should be like a certain length. That's the meaning. And somebody argues like, no, but the word khimar, it just means shawl. It doesn't mean like head cover, whatever. It's really cool. Are you familiar with the word khamr? You know what that means?
Is that
Alcohol, wine. You know why it's called khamr?
No.
Because it messes with your head.
blocks
Khamara blocks your judgment. Khamara literally means to cover. And it's called khamar because it, messes with your mind. It creates a block in your mind. It's almost as though your head is covered up with something.
Okay.
When you take khamr.
When you
We're
take
not even talking about the
alcohol, it
Islamic
messes
meaning.
with
We're
your
talking
head.
about Arabic itself.
So it's just
Back
a
in the day,
complicated.
they'd say some horses are funny colors.
deep
Like from the neck
language.
onwards, it's white, and the rest of it's brown, or something like that. They would say that horse is mutakhammir. It's like it has a khimar on. Like, how are you going to explain that as the horses don't have shawls on? It's just a length, and it's covering its head, and it's up to its neck and all the way down. So that's why they're calling it a khimar. So like it's already in the language, but it's so unfortunate that when they say,
language
okay, they should
is-
draw their veils over their
yeah.
chest. That's what some translations say, draw the veils over the chest.
You have to learn the
Well, a veil
language.
could be a shawl, it could be any kind of cloth. And it doesn't really include head covering, right? But the Arabic word does. And so I feel like a lot of this confusion comes because people don't pay attention enough to the original language and how a lot of translations, they oversimplify the issue and we start coming to drastic conclusions. But I think that even if you talk about all of this, like somebody gets upset and says, who are you to tell me that I have to wear this or that? I'm not anybody to tell you anything.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to, at least for people to know is, okay, here's what the word is in the Quran and here's what it means and here's how we can understand it. If you think there's better evidence, if you think there's another meaning in Arabic, then maybe you should tell me about it.
I like him.
I don't know, maybe I should do a talk about that someday.
I like that voice, that guy. Like the way that he explains his point
Shopee
is
77 free shipping. Yes,
sorry, not commercial. The way that he explains his points is really, really calm, like sensible. He doesn't argue his points. He just speaks his points. Not like me, I argue my point. And yeah, it's really interesting to know that we're just using the word wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't wear a headscarf, okay? Because a lot of us would say, oh, it's in the Quran. I mean, I don't, because I am not a Muslim. A lot of people have been asking. I just wear this for the sign of respect, because you guys would rather see me like this. But yeah, a lot of Muslims will say, oh no, it's not in the Quran to wear hijab. Well, it's not, but it doesn't mean that you should avoid the kimor. Ah! I learned something, yes. But anyways, let me know what you think. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave in the comment section down below what other videos like to react to. The original link of this video will be in the description box down below. So it's my social media link. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.